Hello and welcome to another folding tutorial brought to you by POPUPOLOGY. In this video I'll be showing you how to fold the San Marco Venice design, otherwise known as St. Mark's Cathedral. This one is actually one of the more tricky designs to fold, so you might want to try with some of the easier designs if you are new to this technique. But all of my designs are available online as part of my Origamic architecture pop-up card range. So once you have downloaded your template and cut it either by hand or by plotter, you should end up with something that looks like this. If I hold it up against the light, you can see the matrix of all the cuts through the paper. The fold lines being essentially perforations, so everything is cut, including what we would term as fold lines, but they're also kind of just where the paper is weakened, and those are the areas that we want to be kind of concentrating on, whilst keeping all the other areas of our card damaged. So this being such a complex matrix, you want to be going in incremental stages very slowly and developing all your shapes and forms in sequence in small increments. So just to begin, as always, we want to establish a general shallow fold along our baseline at the very edges of our card, which is effectively the spine of the piece, by just pressing down on it with our thumbs like this. And what we'll be generally doing is working from the top and the bottom of our designs towards the center, and then finally achieving full collapse. So first, as I mentioned before, you just want to kind of develop this general spine fold and then move up to the top of your design and start working on these architectural features in the background of our card and pressing them forward. It may help to actually focus in on certain areas by just pinching just on the plane beneath where you want to kind of work on in isolation, and just pressing your back sheet here forward slightly, and you can see it just doesn't seem to be too much happening and not very dramatic, but you really want to just take care and go very slowly, rather slowly than with very abrupt movements. So you just want to sort of caress your shape out from its environment. And again, as we go to this center feature here, the same thing applies. And as you can see, this small area there can just be popped out by putting a little pressure on it from behind, and sure enough, you will see a general development of our shapes, so that the top of our design is now kind of starting to come forward. And we repeat this process in exactly the same way at the bottom, except that we have different features here. So you just want to kind of press this entire plane in our foreground forward, and make sure that you go gradually throughout a section, a connected section, as you can see here. So this plane is connected through these arches all the way across, so avoid overdeveloping in any one area and just keep on kind of catching up in all areas of your design. And here you can see this doorway is actually recessed, this arch here in the center, so you just want to kind of take special care with that area. So you want to just press forward and down on that shape, just so that you establish that recess fold, reverse fold underneath my thumb, as you can see. And then now we can actually start to concentrate on the center of our design, which is probably the trickiest bit, where you have to do kind of two things at once, which is to deploy this connected plane here to come forward. You want to establish a valley fold section all across here under my finger, as you can see. But because it's in close vicinity to a mountain fold, this can be quite a tricky process to develop. So you just want to sort of go very carefully here, but with using as many of your digits as possible as supports from the back. So pressing it forward and also pinching it. All the pinch is doing is really just kind of fixing this fold line so it doesn't pop back. And it kind of supports that plane, that little sliver of a plane that we really can't hold onto very easily. And by pressing that down, it's slightly easier to kind of establish these valley fold sections here, like so. I am of course left-handed, so you might want to kind of mirror certain movements, but the main thing is to find your own comfort zone with the paper and not to overfold anything too soon, and really you will develop your own technique that's kind of fits you best, really. But the main things are to kind of keep things consistent and incremental, so no sudden movements at all. And as you can see, I'm holding the back plane of the card with one hand, and you can do quite a lot of movement, or you can achieve quite a lot of progress by just holding down that plane and just making sure that it kind of helps everything fold at the same time. So this is the consistency that we are looking for, and if I just show you from the back, I've got a really good hold of this back plane with respect to the next kind of horizontal, as it were, plane underneath it. And by just pressing that all across, it just kind of avoids any blemishes in the paper, and you're kind of bringing everything into relief form together consistently. And you are at a certain kind of 90-degree stage, as you can see here, which we have already reached. You're in a position to then start the full collapse, and you just want to be bringing your shapes forward, making sure that you don't miss out any areas. So just take special care with this little doorway here, and you can help it on its way by just pinching again on certain sections. But the main thing is to do it consistently and really just very gently caress it into its final position. And you might want to just concentrate on these top planes here, which can be quite delicate, by just literally pulling them forward slightly and avoiding any kind of deterioration of the paper. And once you've reached that stage, you can just collapse your piece like so, and just tap down on all the areas, making sure that you get a little bit of further establishment of all the creases. And now if I open the card, you should get quite a crisp finish, as you can see here. Sometimes with the more complex designs, you want to go for a little bit of a thinner weight of paper. I've used quite a heavyweight paper in this case, so your piece might be slightly easier to fold. This being a 320 GSM stock, but you can go for anything between 200 and 300-ish, really, to find the best results or the best kind of balance in the rigidity and flexibility of the material. And so it's now ready for you to embellish and decorate, which I tend to do with a transparency backing sheet, just to kind of cover the back of the piece, to cover really the voids left behind. And with a colored transparency in particular, you get some very, very beautiful light and shadow plays an effect with the light coming through all the kind of openings left by our design. So so you can experiment with your own selections of different stocks, but the color changes everything really dramatically. So I mean, in this case, this being a Venice feature, you could adapt it to create a Valentine's Day card by literally just adding some text to your piece. So if I was to add some stencil fonts, as in this case, you get a really nice result again with your typography shining through from the back. But do experiment with your own combinations, and by all means share your results online on any of my online forums. Hope you enjoy this fold, even though it's a slightly tricky one. Do just have a go, and if at first you don't succeed, just try again. Practice does make perfect. So I hope to see you again for another tutorial in the future. Thanks again for watching. Goodbye.